Hello everyone, this is Daniel Hall and welcome. Man, I am excited about tonight's presentation. This is a topic, a training that Tony and I have been talking about doing for quite some time, and I'm glad that this has finally come together for all of us. And we're going to just jump into tonight's presentation. Tonight's presentation is called How to Publish a Kindle Comic Book Like a Superhero. That is how to create profitable, original content graphic novels and comics fast. Now here's the kicker, here's the hook. That is, even if you can't draw a figure, in other words, you don't have the artistic ability to draw a stick figure, or have trouble writing a grocery list or a simple Jack and Jane kind of story. Even if you have all of those problems, right? Those hurdles to overcome, this is your webinar, okay? Because we're going to actually jump in and teach it to you, even in spite of having those sorts of issues going in. So, in other words, it's for everyone. That is the really cool thing. Okay, Tony. I do want to go ahead and let you know that we will, in fact, have an offer for you at the end of tonight's presentation. It is a brand new training that Tony and I have put together called Real Fast Kindle Comics that he and I will be teaching live, live. And we'll tell you more about how to get involved with that near the end of today's presentation. But not until I first relay our promise to you, which I pretty much described in the title. This is our promise for tonight, all right? And that is, even if you find it difficult to write stories or fictional works, you can still produce compelling tales for your comic books and graphic novels, okay? And tonight, this morning, wherever you are, today, we're going to show you exactly how. And I know some of you might be thinking, you go to the next slide, Tony. You might be thinking, well, that's all well and good, all right? That's cool, but aren't graphic novels and comics driven by graphics? And the answer is, of course they are. I mean, that's what they're all about. And that kind of goes to part two of our promise to you. That is, even if you can't draw, we're going to show you how to actually have a great looking, and I'm talking about just a very, very professional looking graphics for your comic books and graphic novels, even again, if you have zero artistic ability, okay? So that's what's in store. And I do want to say, if you've ever been on a webinar with Tony or I before, you know that we have done a lot of public domain type of content before. We both are big believers in public domain content. And I just want to say right from the get-go here that this is not about public domain content, okay? Of course, public domain can play into this, but don't, it's not really hinged, okay? It's not really the foundation. I just want you to know that kind of going in. So now that you understand, what we have in store, what we have in mind for you, let me ask you, do we have the right audience, okay? Is that, in other words, what you expected for tonight's training? If so, okay, go now to your questions box and type in heck yes or cheerio or some other affirmative statement so that I know and Tony knows that we are all on the same page as you and our expectations are parallel, right? Okay, cool. And I see them just coming in droves right now. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Tony, looks like looks like we've got a lot of folks coming in, and just a bit of an introduction of Tony and I. I'm going to keep this very brief because I know most of you know who we are. But let me introduce to you my good friend Tony Leidig. Now, Tony is an expert graphic designer, photographer, author, publisher, and public domain expert. Now, one of the other cool things about Tony is he is also a teacher, par excellence, okay, as you will soon see. And that's Tony, and we've done a number of products together. This is actually our fourth product together, and I'm always excited when I get to work with Tony. Now, as for me, my name is Daniel Hall, and I am a self-described Kindle maniac, which means I publish lots and lots of Kindle books. And not just Kindle books, but all kinds of other types of materials, including membership sites, okay? I'm also an author, a nurse, believe it or not. I still have a nursing license, and an attorney. I still have a law license. Fortunately, I don't have to practice those professions to earn my living, and I have a lot more fun doing what I'm doing right now. And for those of you that may not know, I'm the creator of the Real Fast brand of training products. Okay, so enough about us. The really cool thing about tonight's presentation is that you're not going to need very much at all. Okay, that's really the great beauty of what we're going to teach tonight. You are going to need a few things, and we're going to talk about it, but really not much. In fact, we're going to need a computer or tablet, even like an iPad, a camera or smartphone, and access to a dollar store, and a little bit of creativity, which we're going to help spark that in you. That is at least our hope and our intention, okay? So in other words, not very much, okay? So that is essentially why we are here today. And, and if you could advance the slide there, Tony. There we go. We want to let you know that we are both big believers in giving you the tools and the know-how that you'll need to build freestanding profit centers in your life. Okay? If you look at all of the products, or most all of the products that I've ever brought to the marketplace, certainly most of the Real Fast brand of products, you will see that we do a lot of trainings that are designed to help you do exactly that. That is, build freestanding profit centers. And that is assets that continue to earn money passively, month in, month out, sort of set it and forget it type of assets. And Tony and I are both still huge believers that publishing is the best place, or one of the best places, to do that. In other words, when you create a book that goes up onto a marketplace like Kindle, like Nook, like the iBookstore, and it's out on that marketplace and available for people to buy, that particular product is an asset to you, okay? And we know, and because we've seen the growth, that one of the hottest growing places to publish new stuff into are with comic books and graphic novels, most especially on Amazon, okay? So that's essentially why we are here, and I just want to kind of give you a little bit of a foundation so that you understand kind of where this whole idea, because when Kindle first came out, it was pretty difficult to even do picture books of any kind, right? It was difficult to publish a Kindle book with any graphics in it. In fact, it wasn't all that long ago that when I would teach Kindle, and I would always get the question, well, how do we get graphics? How many graphics can we get in, etc.? All questions like that. And I would always say, keep graphics to a minimum, okay? It messes up the formatting. It's hard to do. It's hard to make look right, etc. Well, see, that has all changed. And that change started when Amazon made deals with DC Comics and Marvel Comics when the original Amazon Kindle Fire came out. Okay, the Fire made it a lot easier to see, color content, because remember the original Kindles were all black and white, right? But when that came into being, this was back in 2011 when this happened, and that sort of started something really, really cool, okay? So if you go to the next slide there, Tony, for me. Here's essentially what I mean. You see that the comics, since the beginning, in the last couple of years, there's been a slow growth, okay, of more and more people buying graphic novels and comics on Kindle, okay, specifically Kindle. In fact, this Publishers Weekly article basically says that. I mean, that's really what they're talking about. And why is that? You know, what's behind all of that? Well, if you go to the next slide there, Tony. This Forbes article basically tells the story. It says that the huge proliferation of tablets that we've had in the last couple of years has essentially been a huge boon to both comic book publishers and graphic novel publishers, because it's so much easier. The graphics look so much better on these tablets, and that is a very, very cool thing. Next slide, please, Tony. So it even got better when recently Amazon launched the new Kindle Fire HDX. It makes it much better because now you can have enhanced editions, okay, with video, audio, and graphics. And I no longer have to say, hey, this you don't have to, you know, keep your graphics to a minimum, okay? You can actually, these tablets now are built to handle lots and lots of graphics, and that's a really great thing for comics, especially because they look absolutely stellar on, say, the new Kindle Fire HDX. They look really, really good. Now, you know, here's where it really turned the corner for all of us, really, because I want you to consider this for just a second. Kindle, all right, Amazon likes people publishing Kindle books, right? And if you think about how many Kindle books are out there and the types and the varieties and categories of Kindle books, they have only built, that is Amazon, has only built one tool to publish a specific kind of book, and that is the Kindle Comic Creator, okay? This is the reason why I'm so excited and I'm so happy that you're here tonight, because we're going to talk about the Kindle Comic Book Creator a little bit. But the really important thing I want to highlight here is the fact that of all the other categories of books that they could have built a software for, they only built it for Kindle, for the comic books and graphic novels, and I think that says volumes. Okay, about their intentions and about what Amazon sees as the growth or the potential growth of this particular marketplace. Now, the really cool thing about the Kindle Comic Creator is it is completely free software. Okay, it's completely free software that Amazon put out. They had it built. Okay, and super powerful. And again, we're going to show you how to use some of it, some of the capability of it tonight, okay? And I call it the crown jewel. Now, I think that as far as Kindle publishing, and as you know, I love Kindle publishing, conditions are perfect for publishing comics and graphic novels, okay? Because Amazon provides a really hot marketplace full of hungry buyers for us, and they're providing a software tool that can put together attractive, professional-looking comics and graphic novels, okay? So I say almost because there's still one problem, okay? Because you still need content, both in the form of stories and graphics, you know, to make this work, right? And what we're going to be presenting tonight is what Tony and I believe to be a solution, a very good solution. It's not the only solution, but it's a doggone good solution. And we call it progressive storytelling with photographs, or PSP, okay? This is otherwise known as what is known in the photography industry as a photo study, okay? And we're going to teach you how to go about doing that tonight. I mean, that's really the good news, because you can use the PSP, or progressive storytelling with photographs, to make comics and graphic novels fast. And we're going to show you how to do exactly that in today's presentation. So can I get a hooray? Are you with me? Are you excited about this? Go down to your questions box and let us know what you're thinking. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the very capable hands of my good buddy, Tony Leidig. Tony, let's do it. Let's show folks how to do this.
Sounds good. So thanks a lot for setting the stage, Daniel. And I really hope that all of you can grasp just what we're going to be handing you tonight. Daniel really made an excellent point in that you think about there's 2.4 million books on Kindle right now, okay? 2.4 million. And all of us have spent our own fair share complaining about how challenging and difficult it can be at times to really lay out Kindle books in a way that the formatting looks great and all of that. And, you know, even myself, I've said, you know, man, if they would just create a tool like iBooks Author or something like that that would make it really easy and, you know, cool. You know, why don't they do that? And so what is Amazon's response? The first tool they build, like Daniel said, is for comics, okay? Why that? You know, that they have to have something up their sleeve, and they do. And before we dive into this case study, there's something that they have up their sleeve I want to talk about a little bit. I want you to, first of all, take everything you understand comics to be and just kind of set that aside, all right? Because comics and graphic novels take on such a larger picture than what we would typically imagine as comics, like superheroes and stuff like that. And, you know, Daniel had those graphics made of he and I, which, you know, they're totally awesome. But, you know, I've always wanted to be a superhero. But really, this comes down to visual storytelling, okay? That's what this is about. And it doesn't have to, necessarily even include superheroes, or you have the complete ability to redefine what a superhero is, all right? And that's one of the cool things about it. So we're going to dive into a case study tonight, and as I was just mentioning, comics aren't just superheroes. They really take on a much bigger picture, and we're going to explore that tonight. It's basically a story. You're telling a story that includes dialogue. I mean, that's essentially what we're looking at. And then how we're going to approach it, and those of you who have participated in some of my other trainings know that I spend a lot of time experimenting with this, is shooting progressive photographs to tell your story. You want to make sure that they're well-lit, well-composed photographs, and I'm going to give you some tips tonight on that. But that's it in a nutshell. Now, how is that different from creating, say, a children's picture book? Well, it's actually a lot different. If you think about comics, they are much more, as Daniel said, visually driven. So instead of having like an image and then part of your story and an image and then more part of your story, the illustrations themselves really drive the entire graphic novel or comic. And the dialogue even is different than you would use if you were just writing an illustrated children's book. And I'm going to show you an example of that from a story that I wrote here in just a little bit. So you can really use this method that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight to create comics about anything. You know, I mean, some of my personal favorite comics weren't about superheroes at all. They were, you know, Bugs Bunny or whoever. And so to me, that's really exciting. And I consider it to be visual storytelling at its best. So going into tonight's training, and as you listen and watch what Daniel and I are demonstrating and everything, don't make this hard, okay? I really want to encourage you in that. Don't overthink this. Don't make it hard because it doesn't have to be, okay? And I want to show you some examples, okay? Now, granted, these are just individual sheets because I can't fit a whole comic on a page. But, you know, Daniel was talking about how, you know, we're shooting progressive photographs, right? And again, this doesn't have to be hard, okay? The little comic panel on the left was my granddaughter, Maya, a couple years ago, right after she was born. And I literally spent 3 minutes snapping photo after photo after photo after photo. The different expressions and angles and all of that was just her moving around doing her thing, you know, being an infant. I'm the one that repositioned the pictures, that added the thoughts, you know, and all of that, and had fun with it, you know. And I don't know how big it is on your screen, but it says, "You think it's being easy being an infant. It isn't all grins and giggles." I remember it like it was yesterday. I could sleep in all day. I had it great. My own place. Sure, it was small, but it was mine. Kick around the neighborhood, then bam, everything changes. You know, and of course she's talking about herself being born, which obviously she wasn't talking about it, but that's one of the beautiful, fun things that you can do with storytelling visually, you know. I just shot random pictures. Same with the comic on the right, which I created several years ago as part of a little series. And this was my dog at the time. And again, same thing. I just sat in front of him with my camera for about 3 or 4 minutes and just snapped picture after picture after picture after picture. And then I'm the one that assembled them in the order that I did and started writing. You know, I had gotten an email from one of my clients, and they said, "I can't believe you're pimping your dog to make money." You know, and so I had my dog address that. and you know, had some fun with it to boot. The picture in the middle, I didn't take any of those pictures. They're stock photos that I composited together and built a comic out of it, you know, a comic panel out of it. And so that's what I mean about making it, you know, not necessarily making it difficult, setting aside what comics mean to you, you know, so you don't have to think, "Oh my God, where am I going to get like a superhero that hasn't already been done?" Or where, you know, where's that going to come from, you know, or whatever. That's why I mentioned, you know, and Daniel was going down through the list of what it's going to take. You know, creativity. Think about it. Have some fun. Act silly. How would a child approach this? Because after all, I mean, not all comics are for children. Granted, some of them are definitely for adults. But I just really want to encourage you to approach this from the perspective of, you know, what would a child find funny, or, you know, let your own giggle bone out, or whatever, you know, just have some fun with it. And again, it doesn't have to be real hard. Many of you have been following my Viking series, and I actually, I haven't been, a lot of people have been asking, and I haven't really shared much about like the means to the end of me shooting these. But one of the primary reasons why I've been shooting these photos was because I was preparing for this course. I hadn't talked about that. People are saying, "Are you going to make books out of this?" And, you know, asking all that stuff, which, yeah, I'm looking at that, but more so because of the comics. You know, I want to create a comic line. Matter of fact, I have, I'm going to talk about one story tonight as a demo. While I've been traveling, I've outlined several comics that I'm going to be producing just with these little characters, and I'm not telling you what they are. Okay, but again, doesn't have to be difficult. You can see this picture on the right. You know, these are a couple little figures I bought for 20 bucks. And the picture on the right is the final shot. It's set up on my dining room table, for crying out loud. You know, and I just lighting it with a ring light, you know, which you don't even have to use that. And so you can see it's not very sexy looking at all, but, you know, same with this. This is a picture from the series that I shot for tonight's story, for the demo that we're going to be walking through. And it's part of the story, and I'm going to share that story with you here in a little bit. You can see the big production value that I had, you know. A tarp in my backyard on the ground. It was 40 degrees. The ground was wet. My camera, a box full of toys, and that's pretty much it. Sunlight, you know. So, you know, for those of you who say, "Oh, yeah, sure, Tony, you have all this fancy gear and everything," you can see what I used. Okay, so nothing hard, nothing fancy. You know, I mean, granted, I'm using a $3,000 camera, but you don't have to. Okay, you can use any kind of camera. The best camera to use is the one you have in your hand. Okay, and so what I'm going to do now is kind of take you through the process. All right, just so that you can see how simple this really is. So I'm going to walk you through the process here in the training part of it, and then we're actually going to walk through the process. We're actually going to do it. I'm going to introduce you to some software and some different things like that to produce these comics, And, you know, we'll see what you think whenever we're done. So for the case study, I bought figures and related items from gift shop, craft stores, and Amazon. Okay, Hobby Lobby is my friend. You know, the dollar store. I get a lot of stuff from the dollar store, just because it's a dollar. And most of the stuff that they sell in the dollar store isn't trademarked or anything like that. Anyways, it's just generic knockoff stuff. And so it's real easy to use. If I wanted to use them as characters. Now the Ninja guys here. These are actually made by UNESCO, so that involves addressing permission issues and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, most of the figures, like the little Viking characters and all that, they're just made by a local craftsperson in Sweden somewhere. Okay. The story that I'm going to draw from, Daniel mentioned about how you don't have to make producing the story hard, and you don't. I literally wrote it in 10 minutes in my head while I was driving. Like, I didn't even write it down right away. It was just, I was just thinking about what could I do? Hey, I know. Let's make the Viking kid have to go to the bathroom, except that the door's locked. I mean, and that's literally how it started. So it doesn't have to be anything hard or complex or whatever. Look at life, and modify it into something that you want to tell a story about. If you have children, pay attention to your kids and see what they're doing. I mean, a snapshot in their life any given day should give you plenty of fun material to produce comics with. And just kind of take it from there. There really, whenever you get down to stories, there really are only 7 types of stories. Okay, and we're not going to get into all those tonight, but just 7. If you really break everything down, there's just 7, and so it doesn't have to be a hard process. I mean, the stories that I wrote with Princess Maya and with my dog Cola, literally a minute, if even that, just for that individual panel. All the photographs that I shot that I'm going to be using tonight in this comic to illustrate the entire story took me 20 minutes. I shot them all outside. I did them in 20 minutes. And so picture this, okay? These photos came together so fast that I literally, if I wanted to, could shoot them all live here on this webinar right now. Okay? That quickly. And I mean, 20 minutes is nothing. So, no big production, no film crews and, all that kind of stuff. It was me laying on my stomach on a wet ground on a tarp shooting pictures of 3-inch high figures. Okay? So you don't have to make it hard, is my point. So the process is that we're going to import these photos that I took tonight into a comic layout program, and the program we're going to look at is Comic Life. Okay, Comic Life 3. It's uber inexpensive, $30 on PC or Mac. If you have an iPad, it's $5. Does the same stuff on the iPad, $5, right? So we're not talking about Photoshop kinds of money here. You don't even need Photoshop for any of this. I haven't used Photoshop at all on these pictures that I've been shooting. Then we're going to build comic pages, export them as JPEGs, import the JPEGs into Kindle Comic Creator, and then set it up from there. That's like the whole process, okay? And so a couple things that you want to keep in mind as we go into walking through this. You want to make sure that all your photos that you take are in a folder, just one folder. So if you decide on a little story that you want to tell and you want to use, figures like I'm using, or you want to take photos of one of your kids, or however you want to handle it, just make sure whenever you're done that you have photos that tell the different elements of your story and they're all in one folder. I mean, it's really that simple. Normally, the way Comic Life works is the folders, it will draw from folders that are in on a Mac on the Pictures primary folder, or My Pictures in Windows. I think that's what it's called. I'm not a Windows guy. So they have to be copied into one of those two directories. And then we're going to launch Comic Life here in just a minute and choose a blank comic. And check this out. So the Comic Life people even had enough presence of mind to have a page set up for Kindle Fire HD. You know, so you just go in and check it and everything is good. I mean, literally that fast. And you're ready to lay out your comic. Now, I want to show you, I think that's, oh, okay, so one more slide here. So photographs, a bunch of different photographs that I took of just different angles, dump them into Comic Life 3, and we have the formation of our comic story. All right, literally just like that. Now, okay. So I want to show you a couple things. First of all, I want to show you my story. All right. And so you'll notice that there's a lot of dialogue here. I don't have it all defined well. But just basic dialogue. It's not, the story is a little bit longer, but there's a reason why I wrote it this way. And I want to talk about this for a minute just to kind of demonstrate the difference between comics versus an illustrated picture book, okay? So you'll notice here we have dialogue, and you can't really tell whether it's one person talking or another. You know, I am Logi, King of the Vikings. King of the Vikings, your dog Thunderbolt barely obeys you. Don't listen to him, Thunderbolt. I will be king someday. Well, King, do you want to play hide and seek with your loyal subjects? So this is obviously a conversation going back and forth. With comics, we can get away with that because the illustrations are defining who's doing the talking thanks to the talk bubbles, right? Now, if we were using the same story for an illustrated children's book, hint, hint, okay, all that you would want to do is add some of the defining phraseology. I am Logi, King of the Vikings, said Logi proudly, right? King of the Vikings, your dog Thunderbolt barely obeys you, quipped his friend whoever, you know, whatever his name is. Don't listen to him, Thunderbolt, Logi said. I will be king someday. You know, he said while whipping his cape over his shoulder. So, like, in a children's illustrated book, we have to define that because you're dealing with a typical picture book is maybe 32 pages. Okay, and so out of that 32 pages, you subtract 4, and that leaves for the front matter and everything. And so now you're down to, what, 18 pages, or 28 pages, excuse me. And so typically maybe an illustration on each one of those. So now you're talking about 14 images that you're communicating the entire story, and so the verbiage has to drive that. But with comics, it's the exact opposite. You have few words, lots of illustrations, okay? So that's one of the things to keep in mind. So as you're taking the pictures, you want to remember that. Close-ups, you know, like they're having dialogues. You want to have close-up pictures, you know, and pictures that include both of your characters, if there's two characters, and wide shots. I was talking about this a little bit last night in Easy Book Illustration. So with that said, this is a primary story that we're going to draw from, and we'll get to Comic Creator in a minute. So let me launch Comic Life, and normally when you launch Comic Life, I'm on a Mac, okay, so maybe slightly different if you're on a PC. So what I do is choose blank under Comics, make sure that blank is checked here, and hit choose. And that will bring up the program interface, okay? The next step that you want to take is page setup, just like I mentioned earlier. So you hit File, Page Setup, and the default is US letter, 8.511, okay? But we are interested in producing for tablet, so you want to hit the down arrow for tablet, Kindle Fire HD, and it automatically sets our page width and height to the ideal default standards for Kindle Comic Creator, which if you read the literature, they tell you the maximum length of any Kindle comic page must be 1280, right? So this does it by default. There it is. We're done. Okay, so I'll click OK. It'll reset it, and if I come down here to where it says 125% and choose Fit Page, you can see here is our basic page. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Kindle Comic Creator, I'm going to not do anything real in depth here, but just kind of give you the quick grand tour. Over here on the right, where it says Layout, they have a lot of built-in templates. And these are awesome and they're real easy to use. Just hit the drop down, and you can see where a lot of these templates are based on a lot of the older comic styles, like comics from the some of the early comics from the 40s, from the 1960s, from the 80s, and even some weird and bizarre stuff. And so, like, if we choose the 40s, for instance, these are some of the templates that you might have seen from 1940s comics. If we choose, say, 60s, here are some. A lot of the 60s comics were much more traditional in appearance. Okay, and what's great is that in order to use these templates, like if you want to use something very simple, like say this one here, in order to use it, you just left mouse click, drag it over onto the page, and drop it. And it automatically adds all the borders and spacing and everything instantly. Okay, so that is the templates, and you can have a lot of fun experimenting with that. Then below that, we have our libraries. And remember I mentioned before about how you want to have everything in the pictures folder. So you can see here, they have pictures. You can also draw from, if you're on a Mac, iPhoto or Aperture, so on and so forth, or from the desktop. I have it drawing from the pictures folder. And so here are all the photos that I took, and they're not in sequence because I photographed them out of sequence, actually. These are all the photos that I shot for the story that I'm going to build the comic of. And so, and then the next thing that we have is down here at the bottom, and these make funky little sound effects, but these are text bubbles and lettering and all of that, and I'll show you how to use that in a little bit. Okay, so first things first, we want to get started. Okay, so I want to choose the image that I had in mind to kind of frame out the start, and that would be this image right here. So literally drag, drop, boink, and then you can reposition it however you like. Now, one of the other cool features about Comic Life is that they have a lot of styles, and you notice that because I dragged this photo into the one comic box here, the styles folder popped up. Let me move this up here. And there are different kinds of filters, basically, where you can take your existing photograph and turn it into different types of comic appearances, like that, for instance. Or if we scroll down here, maybe there's old school. You know, so you can see where it's literally turning your photographs into illustrations just with the click of a button. And there's a lot of different styles to choose from surreal-looking color ones, black and white, you know, color and so on, different levels of detail and everything. So I kind of like this one here. It's called Painted To. So then the object here is to add the different photos that we want to add, and then apply Painted To all of them so that there's a level of consistency. Okay. Another thing that you can do, like if, say I wanted to make this 2 panels at the bottom instead of 3, I can literally highlight one, hit delete, click on the other ones, and just spread them out. And it'll even bring up a snap guide in the middle. And it makes a funky stretching sound. So now there's 2 panels. So, so I can bring in this picture here, which is more of a close-up of him. And then he says, or you know what, let's not put him in there. He says, let's see, I am Logie, King of the Vikings. King of the Vikings, your dog Thunderbolt barely obeys you. So we have here him saying, I am Logie, King of the Vikings. So next we need photos that showcase the dialogue, right? So we have this image that's kind of a close-up, and I can scoot that around in here. And then we have this one here. Let's turn that one off. Drop that one in there. And I'm going to move this so that it focuses more on his friend. Okay. And again, we want to make all of these the picture 2, right? So, or painted 2, excuse me. Now, one thing that I will tell you, if you click once, it'll select the box. If you click twice, it selects the photograph. Okay, so like if I click once and then move it, it moves the frame. Okay, if I double click, then it makes the picture live, and then I can move that picture around however I see fit. Okay, or scale it up or do whatever I want with it. And you'll notice how it may say how it says the little level thing here. That basically just allows you to control how much of the effect is applied to the photograph. Okay? And so that's it for our first panel. The photographs are in place. So the next thing we want to do is add some, I don't know why GoToWebinar keeps popping up. We want to add some dialogue. And again, this is a very simple, straightforward process. So come down here, pick a talk bubble that we want to use, like this one right here. I'm going to click on it, and it enters it. Now, right now, you notice how it's kind of small, and we have full control over how that works. And you notice that there's different types of and styles of talk bubbles, different fonts, all of that we can also choose from over here on the left. So what I'm going to do is type in, it's kind of small right now, I understand. We're going to make it bigger. Actually, let's just make the font bigger now, like say 14 point. So I'm going to type in, I am Logie, King of the Vikings. And then I'm going to click off. Click once, and that gives us the ability to scale the talk bubble. And then we can reposition it. I'm just going to drag it up here. The other thing that's kind of cool about these talk bubbles, you'll notice how there's a little blue circle at the end of the conversation link. You can left mouse click and drag that however you want. If you want to make the type even bigger, you just double click, and we'll go with 14 point. I am logo. That ain't good. It's funny, but it's not good. Okay, so we have him saying some dialogue there, and then same thing. The next piece of dialogue is, King of the Vikings, your dog Thunderbolt barely obeys you. Okay, so we'd probably want to use just the first piece here. I'm just going to copy that. Come back over here to Comic Life. Put in another talk bubble. Paste in our type, and I'm going to double click it again here and change it to what, I forget the name of the other font. I think that was it. And so we're just going to reposition that. And you have the ability to like center the type. You notice that all the standard formatting tools are up here at the top. So you can center the type, you can have it flush left or do whatever you want. And I'm going to bring the talk bubble down to him. And then we want to say your dog Thunderbolt barely obeys you. Okay. Oops. So another thing that you can do is actually duplicate. So I'm going to just duplicate that and drag it over here. Just to kind of make it easier. And then double click so I can paste in the new font, new type. Highlight it. We want the lint, Acree or whatever it's called. And let's see here. From a positioning perspective, I'm going to center it. And then we want the dialogue line to come down here again. And maybe, actually, you know what, let's move this talk bubble over a little bit more. You can move them wherever you want. We could actually move it down even, like that. And so page one is essentially done. I recommend saving on a regular basis. So we'll just hit save. We'll call it Logie. So now that we have page one done, we can choose a new page. Okay, so just come up here, hit new page, blank, and you notice that our page one is still here. We're just adding a new page. Now you don't have to use the same layout. I mean, it may not make sense for you to use the same layout as you did before. Maybe this one makes more sense, or maybe one with just horizontal panels like this would make more sense, you know? So, you know, I'll drag maybe that one over. And so the next part of the story here is what? Don't listen to him, Thunderbolt. I will be king someday. You know, and so we can actually use one of the same pictures and just focus in on him saying that. So like we had, let's see, we had that picture. Let's take this picture, drag it over into the first frame, and then just scale it up. Okay, and reposition it so that way it looks like he's talking to the dog. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just position the pictures first. Well, King, you want to play hide and seek. Now, you'll notice here this is dialogue, and then it says Logie loved hide and seek. It was his favorite game. So that's a descriptor phrase, and I'll show you how we can handle that here in just a minute. Well, King, do you want to play hide and seek with your loyal subject? So we need that image for the conversation, and I shot a picture like this right here. Drag that in there, and then there was another one where Logie's answering. Okay, and then but first I have to use the owl house. So the king needs to sit on his throne, Logie? So, you know, we're just kind of going back and forth with dialogue and those kinds of things. For the sake of discussion, I'm going to bring him in again, but make it closer. I probably could have shot more images. Or, you know what, actually, they all look the same. We're going to replace and scale it down. I'm really not sitting on a whoopee cushion. It just makes that funky sound. So now it's just a matter of dropping in the same, dropping in more of our text bubbles again and putting in our dialogue. Now, remember I mentioned here where I have this phrase that actually wouldn't be a talk bubble. It's just a defined set of type. So I can copy that, and how we can handle that is something like this. Notice how we have the different types of lettering here as well. We can click on that and paste it in here. Okay, I know it's very small right now. It's very small on my computer as well. So we have the type in there, and then what I'm going to do is stretch it out. And stupid sound. And then we can just place that down on the bottom of the frame, or we could put it at the top of the frame if we wanted to. You can also have it, there we are. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this, okay? Let's go into 100%. So this is how it looks. You can keep it within the frame if you want, and it does have snap guides and everything, or you can really even break the frame with these things. That's part of it, and if you've looked at any comics before, you can see how, it's handled a number of different ways. You can also change the color on it if you want. I'm going to center it here. Okay. Now, I'm not going to take time to build out the entire comic because we'd be here a little while, but you have the idea of where we're going with this, okay? So let me change back to fit page. I'm going to save again. As soon as it's done saving. And so we built out a couple pages, so now I want to hit File. We're going to export. Let's say we're done. Okay. Export to images. Notice that you can also export to EPUB. I'll just throw that in as a side note there, and PDF. But we want images. You can control resolution. Now what's really cool about this is that this will put out high enough quality that you could take these to print if you wanted. Okay. You need the quality in the photographs, but you can do it. In our case, I'm just going to focus on 72 dpi because that's the screen resolution for the Kindle Fire. Hit next. And what I'm going to do is create a new folder on my desktop, Logie Pics, save as Logie, and I'm going to hit export. And so now it's exporting my pages. It's working on page 1 right now, page 2, and it's done. So I'm going to close this for now. And if I pull up the folder, you can see where it has page 1 and page 2. Okay? Okay, so let me close Evernote here. So next, we're ready for Kindle Comic Creator. So let's say our comic is done. We have 2 pages sort of done. So I'll show you how difficult and challenging this can be. All right, we're going to click Create a New Book. What is the language of your book? English. Would you like to create Kindle panel view? Yes, you definitely want to. Orientation of your book, portrait. What is the page turn direction, left to right? Canvas size of your book, original resolution. Notice that the default is 800 by 1280, which is the same size and resolution that from the choice that we made in Comic Life. It's exactly the same. So we'll hit continue. Title, we're just going to call it Logie the Viking Boy for now. Author, me. Publisher, we'll leave that blank. Now, you need a cover image, okay? And the cover can be anything, quite frankly. you can actually even create it in Comic Life if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to hit Browse. I don't really have a cover that I created, but I did create one, I think, that I was experimenting with. Maybe I didn't. I must have put it somewhere else. So what I'm going to do, even though I don't have a cover per se, I'm just going to use this particular image of Logie being chased by a T-Rex. That's going to be our cover. Where would you like to save your book? We'll save it there and click Start Adding Pages. Okay? So it wants us to add pages. So I'm going to go to Desktop, Logie Picks, Logie. I'm going to hold the Shift key down, click both those pages, and hit Open. Now start creating Kindle panel view. You can create panels by right-clicking in the design window. Okay. You know, so if we right mouse click, we can hit, here's what I recommend, especially if you're going with a traditional panel-driven thing like in Comic Life, detect panels in all pages. Now you'll notice that it picked one panel overall, and then it picked a smaller one, okay? And in the second one, it got them all right. You notice how there's green boxes around them. In the first one, not so much. So in that case, we need to readjust, okay? And actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete that panel. This one is okay right here. And I'm going to create a new Kindle panel, and hold on here. Position it there. Actually, we want to edit. The getting the little angle point is a little challenging sometimes. So we'll get this over here positioned right. And boom. So we hit OK. I don't know why it's not there. Let's just do it this way. Okay, there we are. So we want another new panel, and we want to choose Edit. Okay. I don't know why it's not showing those edits in this section, but that's all right. Okay. So one thing that you want to pay attention to also is you'll notice the number of these panels. Okay. That's kind of important because it has an effect, a direct effect on the numbering of the pages, okay? Like you'll see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are ordered consecutively. With this one, they're kind of backwards, all right? So you want to edit these and change the page number sequence. If we can do that. Let's see, we want to edit. What I I think I'm going to do, we're going to cheat and just swap them out this way. So with this one here, if you can draw a box, we're just going to reorganize them like this. So there's 3. There's 2. We'll bring this down here. Okay. And 1. Now, why are we drawing these panels? You might be wondering that. Why are we drawing these panels? I'm going to hit File, Save. Because whenever we get into the actual book itself, these become pop-ups. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. So let's say that we have our pages done. We have everything is green, and that's good. So we're going to hit File, Export as KF8 book. And we'll call this Logie book. Save. Maybe file successfully built. Okay. So I'm going to close Kindle Comic Creator, and we're going to launch the Kindle Previewer. Oh, great. We're also going to install Java here real quick. I normally do this on my iMac. So we'll just let this happen real quick. So while that's doing its thing, so the basic process here is that we're shooting the photos, we're building our pages in Comic Life, which you don't have to use Comic Life, but it's so inexpensive that it really is kind of a no-brainer. Then we're exporting those pages out, importing them into the Kindle Comic Creator where we draw our panels and all of that. Once those panels are done, we export the book and save that in the Kindle Wave format, which automatically creates it as a MOBI file. Now, why is that a big deal? You'll notice that whenever we were setting it up, it asked us if we wanted to make the book vertical or horizontal, right? One of the big deals with children's illustration books or illustrated books is fixed format. You've probably heard about fixed format books. They're a pain in the butt to code, right? This software does that automatically, okay? So I'm showing you Kindle Comics, but the truth is that you don't just have to do comics. And I wasn't planning on saying that. It's kind of an obvious type of thing, but it's definitely one of those kind of cool little things that you can do with this software that is kind of beyond its original intent and purpose, okay? And so as soon as Java decides to finish downloading and joining us here, we'll get into the previewer, and I'll show you exactly what the Kindle Comic Creator created for us, okay?
So Tony,
I apologize. This update should have been done before.
Tony?
Yes, I'm here.
So
yes.
While this is downloading, I think this is a good opportunity to handle some of the questions that are coming in.
Yeah, sure.
And really got some really very, as usual, very smart folks, very astute questions here. And let's see, we got the one here from Dave, who says, where do you get the fonts for the title, quote unquote, Logie the Viking Boy? Where do those come from?
Yeah, so those are all built right into Comic Life.
Oh, really?
And what's really cool is, like, you'll notice how, like, real fast Kindle Comics, I made this background in Comic Life. So you know, because it doesn't just do like standard comic size layouts. You can actually do like 16:9 full high def, which are horizontal layouts, which is what I did for our background slide. And then whenever you type in, put in the type, you literally have the ability to drag down the corners and stretch it up, and, you know, like the classic Indiana Jones kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy to manipulate the type just by dragging it. I mean, it's pretty cool how that works.
Okay, cool. Deborah asked, with cost to do a Kindle book based on file size, is there a difference with the comic books, or do they compress at some point?
Well, the program, with how it works with the Kindle Wave format and everything, it does automatically compress. Now, one thing that you can do is whenever you're exporting the original JPEGs out of Comic Life, you can set how much compression is there. So you could really turn it down to like 60% or even probably 50% and still be okay, which will get those file sizes down somewhat. You know, Amazon says that they charge delivery fees, and they do, but what they say their delivery charges are, and this is what I found personally. They say that it's X amount per megabyte or whatever, okay, that they charge as a delivery fee, but in the real world, it actually doesn't quite work out that way. They actually charge you much less.
Cool. Well, there you go. All right, and let's see, another question. Great question from Joyce. He says, can we also publish these books on CreateSpace as well as Kindle? Joyce is thinking outside the box. I like that, Joyce.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the things that I really like about the software with Comic Life, that is, because it gives you the ability to export these images out at 300 dpi. So literally you could take the time, build out your entire comic, export one set of files at 300 dpi, another set of files at 72.
Cool. Okay.
And then use one for Kindle and one for print.
All right, great. So are you ready to proceed there, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
we'll come back to questions a little later.
Yeah. So here's what the comic looks like. And this is currently showing as a Kindle Fire HD 8.9, and you'll notice it's very much the same as the way the comic looked, right? And let's see. If we switch over to the standard Kindle Fire HD, my computer's running a little bit slow, so I apologize. It still pretty much looks the same. If we go to the regular Kindle Fire, it still pretty much looks the same. And it should, let me see if it'll, I'm going to relaunch the viewer here. Because normally these are supposed to pop up. The little boxes that we created. I'll just open this here. There it is. Oh, great. So notice how it popped up there. Let me see if I can pull this out so you can see it. What it does, the way the software works with these panels, is that you want to define each of the panels because it highlights each one, and then whenever you click down again, it brings it back down to 100%. So like if I click on this panel here, notice how it zooms it in. You know, wherever I drew that box, and everything else is kind of grayed out. So whenever your reader is actually reading the comic on the Fire or other device, if they tap on a particular panel or they even swipe it, it will zoom in like that, which is kind of a cool feature. Now, we're doing this strictly on comic panels, but again, you can highlight different parts of a story using the same method. Okay, so like if we get down to the next page here, if I can get to the next page. Okay, and double click on that panel, see how it zooms it in and everything else is scaled back. And so that's kind of the beauty of how this software works. So it just highlights that particular panel, so it makes reading through the story very simple, okay? And that's one huge difference in using this software for building out a Kindle book versus, you know, just doing it the old-fashioned way using Microsoft Word or whatever, okay? So that's basically it in a nutshell. I mean, that is the premise here. We started it. Obviously, I didn't shoot the photographs tonight, but we started off with a bunch of photographs, a basic story, and then started building out our pages, and exported them as JPEGs, imported them into the software, drew our little frame boxes, saved it as a MOBI file, and just tested it in Kindle Previewer. And so if we did that with all of our comic pages, got to the end with our cover and everything, then the only step remaining would be to upload it to Kindle. Okay? All right, so that's all I have, Daniel. I can turn it back over to you.
So thanks so much. First off, thank you, Tony. That completely rocked, as I knew you would do. Thanks so much. And if I actually have a question for you, and okay. If you could proceed to the next slide there. Here's my question for everyone. And my question is: have we delivered on our promise that we started with tonight? If so, go to your questions box right now and type in yes, heck yes, this is totally cool, this is rad, this is awesome, this is amazing, and we're having all sorts of comments like that coming through here. Let's see, from Selah and Don and KS and Julia and Jay and Frank and Chris and Julia and oh my gosh. Well, you know, we've got lots and lots and lots of people in the house. So great. Boom, mind opening, says Peggy. Yes, this is fantastic. Excellent. And they're coming in so fast and furious. I mean, literally dozens come in at a pop, so I can't keep up all the names. But excellent. And Maureen says, of course, love it when you two do webinars together. Thank you, Maureen, for saying that. Joanne says, best webinar ever. Let's see, and they're going so fast again, I can't. Thank you so much. You gentlemen never disappoint, says Sagi. Thank you so much. Outstanding presentation, of course, says Les. Okay, cool. Excellent. Well, here's the thing. I just wanted to tell you about, this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg of what you've got tonight. Tony and I have mapped out a complete, basically graduate level course on creating comics and graphic novels in something that we are putting together. It's a live training that we're going to be producing called Real Fast Kindle Comics. Okay, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. First off, let me tell you what you're going to get in that training. Essentially, you're going to get what I like to call the whole comic book enchilada. And let me be more specific about what I mean by that. First off, we're going to talk about the opportunity that exists here and how to make the most of it. And I have this picture of this pizza delivery guy because I wanted you to think about something from the standpoint of what Amazon's really doing here. And just for a second, I want you to think about, now we don't have phone books anymore, but for those of you that remember phone books, you will remember that there was a section in the phone book that was for restaurants and one that's for pizza. You remember that? Even though pizza should be in the restaurant category, it wasn't. It had its own separate category. And what I want you to draw from that realization is that's essentially what Kindle is doing with the comic books. That's the reason why they started with creating the Kindle comic book creator, making it free, okay, and allowing you to not only publish comics, but also graphic novels as well. Now, they could have done a whole gamut of other types of software to help you create books. It didn't. It focused on comic books and graphic novels, and that to me is very, very telling, and I hope it is very, very informative, very telling to you, okay? So we're going to talk about in this training how to go about seizing on this opportunity that exists in comics and graphic novel publishing within the Amazon marketplace, okay? So I just kind of wanted to lay that foundation. Now let's get a little bit more specific here. And in this training, we're going to talk about the types and styles of comics and graphic novels that you can create and actually walk you through many of them. Maybe not all of them. We're going to give you enough to get you going in the directions that you need so that if, you will know how to go off in any direction you wish when it comes to creating Kindle comic books or graphic novels, okay? Next slide, please. Also, this is the other thing. We are going to do a whole module on essentially how to double dip. Now, one of you had asked earlier, a very astute question was asked, and the question was, well, can we do this as a Kindle and a print-on-demand or CreateSpace book? And we said yes, but it goes beyond that because not only can you do comics, but also children's books and children's picture books. So we're going to be covering all of that in this training, okay? Also, we're going to talk about developing your storyline and characters. Okay, in, of course, much greater detail than we could do on a free webinar, but that's going to be a big part of it, and we're going to show you, again, step by step how to do it. The other really cool thing is we're going to show you how to use the tools available to you, many of which are free or very, very low cost, to do your illustrations and creations. We're going to go over all of that, and then also not just tell you what your options are, but also cover why you might consider using one over the other for a particular purpose or intention that you have for your book. Okay. Next slide there, please. Ooh, now this is a really cool thing. And I got several of these questions as I was answering questions in tonight's presentation, and they were like, well, I only have a smartphone, or I only have, a cheap camera. Well, here's the thing. We're going to show you how to use any camera or smartphone to tell your story, okay? So for those of you that may not know, Tony is an expert photography teacher. So we're going to be talking about that in this training as well. Again, from the comic book side of things, from the graphic comic book side of things. Then, now this is what I think is just really the magic sauce, okay? The secret sauce to this whole thing is setting up these shots progressively so that the story is easy to tell, right? So we're going to have a whole module on just that as well. And then also, we're going to show you how to determine whether you want to use your photos as is or convert them to some sort of illustration, okay? And again, the considerations why you might use one over the other, and again, what you're trying to accomplish with your comic or graphic novel. All right. Also, we're going to show you step by step how to go about building out your comic book pages or graphic novels, whichever, with the Kindle comic creator, and that's a part of it. Also, we're going to talk about working with type and conversation bubbles, and that is, obviously it drives a comic, right? These bubbles, the thought bubbles, the conversation bubbles, the dialogue boxes, they drive the comics, and very important considerations in putting that, in using one over the other, etc. And we're going to cover that in a module as well. And this is another really interesting part of it. We're going to actually talk about setting up the correct sizes and formats that best work with the Kindle Comic Creator. And again, going back to the CreateSpace stuff, okay? Then we're going to show you about working with the Kindle Comic Creator to create both comics and graphic novels. They are slightly different, all right? And that's, again, going to be another part of this training. I will say this training is going to be live training, okay? Live training, which means you're going to be able to ask questions, get support, and again, not to worry if you can't make one of these, because we're going to be recording all of them and putting the replays as modules in the members area at Real Fast Kindle Comics. So not to worry there as well. Now, you're probably asking, this all sounds great, Daniel. What is the investment? And the fact of the matter is that when we get this whole course put together, we are going to introduce it to the marketplace at $297. That's going to be the regular price. But we're going to do a webinar-only price, okay, of only $147. Okay, we're just going to take that and we're going to cut it in half. And we're going to bring it to you at only $147 for this webinar, okay? And, of course, we have lots of bonuses for you. So let me tell you about the bonuses. First off, I'm going to include my Real Fast iKindle training, which is already in the members area. Basically what this is we're going to show you how to create Kindle books with your iPad. Okay, that's what that's all about. So we'll show you that. Another bonus is we're going to give you Tony and I did a training called How to Harness the Secret Power of Media Giants like Disney, Marvel, and Universal. And that's actually brings in a lot of the public domain elements. If you're interested in going in that direction, that's what that's all about. And then, Tony, I'll have you talk about the EBI Master Series here and what that's all about.
Right. So in the Easy Book Illustration Master Series, Volume 1, also known as Level 4, I taught one of the modules. It was Module 6, specifically on a style of creating a comic book look, you know, the way a lot of the comic illustrations are being done today. As a matter of fact, you may remember the girl example that I gave earlier that was in the middle. She was the case study for that particular module. Now, I'm not giving you the whole series or anything like that, but we are going to be putting just that module, Module 6, because it pertains specifically to comics. I decided to include that one module as a bonus as well because it's perfectly applicable to what we're doing here. And it uses a different illustration method for achieving some pretty amazing looking comic effects using some of my tricks and magic and all of that kind of stuff. So that's going to be available and included as a bonus as well.
Cool. And we're going to get that. That's not yet in the members area, but it will be going in there. The first two are, but the last one is not. And of course, we do have a guarantee for you. That is, you must be completely delighted with your investment in Real Fast Kindle Comics, which means you must feel like it will propel the speed and quality of your Kindle comic creation. And if for any reason or no reason at all, you want your money back, just to let us know within 30 days of purchase for no questions asked refund, okay? So, and of course, here's, you know, we over the years, Tony, this is our fourth baby product together, and we've got lots and lots of testimonials. Here's just one of them. Signed up for a course that wasn't actually was a slightly different course. It was our derivative product course. She says, a no-brainer again, Daniel. Thanks again for keeping us filled with cost-effective ideas and tools to help us grow our publishing empires. By the way, I don't even need to finish the webinar to know that this is good stuff. So I'm going to send you there right now to grab this very special deal, and then we're going to start taking your questions again. It's at realfastkindlecomics.com, realfastkindlecomics.com. Anthony has put that into the chat area. Can somebody just click on that and let me know that that is there? If you're watching this on a replay or rebroadcast, the link is probably right below where you're now watching this presentation. Okay, but does that work for you? Does that link work, folks? Is it taking you where it's supposed to go? Okay, Debbie says, okay, excellent. All right, excellent. All right, so next, we're going to take your questions here in just a second, but I want to pause just for a second. Okay, so let's go over the your questions here in the Q&A. And first off, let's see. Deborah wanted to know about the nights. What is the schedule? Essentially, it's going to be the next 3 Wednesday nights. The next 3 Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, that's what the deal is. Now, and then somebody else here wanted to know what about go over the bonuses again. So if you can go back a couple slides there, Tony, and let's show them the bonuses again. That would be awesome. So you're going to get the Real Fast iKindle training. Again, this is the training that is going to teach you essentially how to use your iPad and do everything on the iPad to create a Kindle book. Okay, so that's going to be included. And then you're also going to get a very special training that Tony and I did about a year ago, but the very, very good stuff. It's how to harness the secret power of media giants like Disney, Marvel, and Universal to create information products like this. Okay, so that's the story there. And then also you're going to get the EBI Master Series module on how to create digital ink and coloring style, and that's also going to be posted. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you that there is an additional bonus. Thankfully, Anthony's here and telling me we've actually set up a Facebook group specifically for you all. Okay, and that'll be a great place to bounce ideas, ask questions, etc. Tony, can you navigate over there, or let me see if I can find the link here and put it over there. And where is it here? Did I send you that link, Tony? I don't even know.
Which link is that?
The link to the Facebook group.
Oh, I did remember getting an invite to it.
When you go here to this, this is our closed Facebook group. You're going to have to ask to join. Couple things. There's very, very important that you do this, right? Within the closed Facebook group, as well as in the members area. Yes, and Imna says, Tony, if you can go to where folks can see the link again. It's right there. It's on that one word. I think it's one. There we go. That page right there. It's at realfastkindlecomics.com/nothing, right? It's just realfastkindlecomics.com. I'm used to, how many times have I said that, Tony? My gosh, it's like so brain trained. Oh, amazing.
That's funny.
It is funny. So yeah, realfastkindlecomics.com. It will take you right to that page, and that's where you grab this great deal. Okay. All right. Or if you're watching this on a replay, the link is directly below your this video. Okay. By the way, I should say, if you are watching this on a replay, we will be pulling this offer. Okay. It is a timed offer, and when it's over, it will be over. So you will probably see a countdown timer on the page, and when that counts down to 0, that page automatically redirects, and you will then be locked out. I don't want that happening to you. So if you are watching this on a replay or a rebroadcast, and you have decided to go ahead and grab this, go ahead and do it right now while you're thinking about it. Don't think, oh, I'll get to it right before. No, just go ahead and do it now. Get it done, and then you'll know that you will be in. Okay? All right. So just that's my little admonishment there for you. All right. Cool. cool, very cool. By the way, for those folks that have invested in tonight, very wisely invested tonight, I would like to ask you a favor. For those of you that are getting on right now, go over to the Facebook page, and I'll have Tony pull it up here, and type onto that Facebook page why you decided to do this, what you're hoping to get out of tonight's presentation. So just go ahead and we're here, by the way, checking to see that you're legit and you're doing everything right, that you've actually paid. But go ahead and write your post right there, and just tell us what you hope to get out of Real Fast Kindle Comics, and why essentially you invested tonight. That would be awesome. Okay. So yeah, we've got folks adding you as we speak. All right. So let's see. The Facebook page is in the members area, Dennis. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, here I'm answering your question right now, Stephen. Okay. There we go. All right, there you go. Did you get that, Stephen? Stephen's asked me sort of a private question. Okay, cool. Yep. Bruce says, I don't have a Facebook account yet. The goal is to learn the techniques of graphic illustration, which can be used in Kindle books. Excellent. And let's see, Lisa says, I'm not sure if I'm an existing member or not. How do I check? Existing member of what, Lisa? Make sure that we're talking the same language. So let me know on that. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see. Right. So let me just go ahead and clap here. Okay, so for those of you that are having issues with the coupon code is HERO, H-E-R-O, okay, all in caps. They need to be in caps, all right? All right. And somebody was asking about how do you put it in PayPal? Well, in PayPal, you're actually not using PayPal. You're putting it in the shopping cart first, and then it will subtract the amount off, and then you go to that PayPal option. Then you go to the next step. Okay. So in other words, you're putting in the coupon code long before you go to PayPal. All right. So there that is. All right. Let's see other questions here. Okay, Chuck says he's in. Excellent. We got literally lots of you are jumping on this, and that's very wise of you, particularly at this very special offer. Great. And in fact, one of the things I want to do is once you get in, you're going to need to register. Okay. In other words, you're going to choose your username. You're putting your name, your first name, last name, email address twice, username, and then you're going to choose a username and then choose a password, and then hit submit on that. Okay, and that will take you to into the members area, which as I say, right now there's the two bonuses that I mentioned. But the rest of the training is not there because obviously we're going to be doing it live. You're going to be participating in that. It's really a class that you're going to be attending. And then once we have that done, we're going to, of course, edit all those up and put them into the members area. So fear not if you can't make any of the of the presentations because we will have them. It's not a one-time deal. You're going to be able to have access to it, okay, in the members area, and you can still get, by the way, you can still get the you can still ask questions in the Facebook group, okay, even if you can't be there live. Now, if you are there live, we would certainly love to see that. That would be an awesome thing, okay, because, again, it really kind of helps us and helps you actually kind of co-create with us because your questions and your direct feedback help to guide the creation of the product, and we always think that that's a much better thing to make a better long-term product, okay? So that's the reason. If you can be there, it would be awesome if you could be there live. All right. Okay. And let's see. Brad says, please go over what will be covered during the classes and bonuses again. We could definitely do that, Brad. Tony, could you go back to, we'll just briefly go through the slides again for Brad and for anyone else who might have a similar question. Oh, I see, Lisa, what you're asking. The thing is you would have to ask, you have to go to the support site, which I need to give to you, at greatproductsupport.com to know that, because I don't, of course, obviously know that off the top of my head, whether you're a member of Real Fast Derivative Products or not, but we could certainly confirm that and let you know one way or another, okay? Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's, for Brad, our good friend Brad, and good that you are here, Brad. Thank you for being here. Thank all of you for being here. But here's essentially what we're going to be covering in this training. First off, essentially how to make the most out of the Kindle publishing, the Kindle comic book and graphic design or graphic novel publishing opportunity, okay? We're also going to go over the types and styles of the comics and graphic novels that you can create. We're also going to show you essentially how to, I need to change this actually to quadruple dip, okay? Because not only are we going to show you how to essentially do Kindle books and graphic novels, but also how to put up print-on-demand books through CreateSpace and children's picture books as well. Okay, that's actually a quadruple threat. Then we're also going to show you how to go about developing your storyline and characters. Okay, we're going to go through the illustrations and creation options again. How to use your camera or smartphone again to tell your story progressively. That's a big part of this. And then how to set up your shots progressively, because that makes things so much easier. I think Tony would agree with that when you're doing this. We're also going to cover how to go about using photos as is versus converting them into illustrations. And what else do we have here? And then how to build out your comic book pages using the Kindle Comic Creator, working with type, okay, like fonts and conversation bubbles. And let's see, how to do the correct sizes and formats that best work with the Kindle Comic Creator, working with the Kindle Comic Creator to create both comics and graphic novels. And this is going to be a live training, okay? And the investment, as I said here, is $147. The bonuses are Real Fast iKindle, how to harness the secret power of media giants like Disney, Marvel, and Universal to create books, Kindle books, etc. This kind of taps into the public domain aspect of basically you could do all of the things that we're talking about, but using public domain comics, which are available. And this is a great training that basically opens your opens that opportunity for you. And then so those first two bonuses are already in the members area. The last one is not yet in the members area, the EBI Master Series, but will be shortly. The EBI Master Series module, all right? And that's going to be, well, Tony, do you want to tell Brad and the rest of the folks again what this is all about?
Of course, Easy Book Illustration is an ongoing series that I've been teaching, and part of that series is I started teaching what I call the Master Series. There's 2 volumes to that so far, and essentially we're looking at different illustrators and reverse engineering how they're creating the types of illustrations that they create. And let's see, Volume 1 in Module 6, I actually looked at comics and how some of the real popular comic styles that are being used artistically today, how those are being created. So basically reverse engineered that process using photographs as the foundation. And so that's what that module is all about, is how, to create that style.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Thank you for that. And we've got more questions rolling in here. If you go to show folks where to go grab this deal right there at realfastkindlecomics.com, realfastkindlecomics.com. It's also in the the chat area. Okay. So if you can just actually click on it from the chat, and it'll take you directly there. Okay, all right. Mary is wondering, where in the members area are the bonuses? Well, if you hit that page, that first page, you should see them. There's a line item there that says bonuses, right directly under the first steps to take, Mary. Okay. And as I say, there's only the first 2 there, and there we go. Okay. By the way, we should show folks, if you're having any sorts of issues, we're going to try to help you through those issues tonight in ordering and getting access and all that. While we're on the webinar. But if we don't get to you, or we don't can't solve it, let me show you where our support site is, and that's where you would need to we could get some support for you, some help for you. So Tony, can you navigate over to our support site? It's right here at greatproductsupport.com. Those 3 words, greatproductsupport.com, and start a new ticket right there, and we will make sure that we help you. Okay. Now, this support site is really for technical issues. Okay, technical type of issues. If you can't get access to the site, or you've got a billing question, or whatever, sort of a technical type of question, this is where you would go to Great Product Support. However, if you have a content-related question, the best place to ask that, and certainly the easiest access to Tony and I, are through the Facebook group. Okay, so you need to join that Facebook group. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, cool, Brad. Yeah, I think it's a very, very. Thanks so much for saying that. All right, so Tony, can you just pop over to the Facebook page and see? Let's see what folks have been saying over there on why they've decided to do that, to get involved here. Bill's asking, who has the Kindle Comic Creator from? Actually, Amazon made the software. Okay, Amazon did it, and it is free. Okay, the Kindle Comic Creator is free. Okay, so here a bunch of folks have checked in. I want to go ahead and welcome each and every one of you. Let's see, we've got Rhonda who says, purchase course for my teenage manga mad artist daughter, but may try some comics with my little watercolor creatures. It looks like fun. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, and Schiefer says, I don't even hesitate about joining when you two are training. Really looking forward to this. Oh, that's so sweet. Wow, could you imagine? Thank you so much for saying that, Schiefer. We really, really
really appreciate you saying that. Really, really, that means a lot. It really does. And I know, Tony, you feel the same.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's see. And Bill says, thank you, I'm in. Excellent. Oh, yeah, Mary, you have to actually get, this is it. Mary says, I don't see step one. I'm actually on the, am I on the wrong page? I'm on the Facebook page. Yeah, I'm talking about all the bonuses are in the, in the members area. Okay, yes. I don't think so, Dennis. Okay, that's required for the other folks, for the processing company. They require that. Okay. Frank says, can Real Fast iKindle be applicable to Android tablets? I have not tested it on that, but it's actually a little easier because it's the same system. And Android and Kindle are actually, they're both Android type products, so it should not be too difficult. Although I will tell you right now, Frank, it's not designed for that. It's designed for teaching from the iPad. Okay, so I don't want you to get in there and think you're getting something that you're not getting. Okay. All right. And then let's see. Lexus says, yay, thank you so much for inviting me to join. You may regret attempting to teach me as I'm so green when it comes to technology and I have blonde roots. Oh, I don't believe that. And she says, I have a book ready to go. Just want to format, add pics, and get it up there. I hope you can advise on how to monetize and how to price it. Yes, but thank you so much for posting that, Lexus. And the thing that if you can make it to the live trainings, that would be awesome. Okay, so we can actually do that for you and address these things for you there. And if not there, here. Okay. And then Mary is saying, I'm already doing comics for Kindle, and this way it seems like a good adjunct to that. Excellent. All right. Thank you for joining, Mary. And let's see. Chris says, did I miss Chris? Chris says, I'm in the midst of creating a comic strip, and this is heaven sent. Excellent, man. I'm glad to hear that, Chris. Very, very nice. Well, you're very welcome. All right, and then Deborah says, this is going to be fun, and my plan is to co-create with my grandchildren. What a great idea. I love that idea. Who are the funniest girls on the planet. Isn't that cool, Tony?
I love that.
I love that. I so dig being with my own children that really excites me. I'm so glad. I'd love to hear about those successes. All right. Let me see. We've gone through. I know that we've got a bunch of new ones that have come through. And then Sharon says, I want to start writing for grandkids, then develop from that. So thanks for the offer. Well, you're very welcome. That's a great idea, Sharon. What a splendid idea. Start by creating something for your children or your grandchildren, and why not make some money with it, right, Tony?
Absolutely.
All right, let's see. And Arnold says, really excited about the webinar. Can't wait to get started. Here we go. Excellent. All right, cool. And more folks have joined on. Let's go back to our questions on the so Tony, if you can go back to our page where folks can grab this great training at realfastkindlecomics.com. Right there. That's where you go and can grab this. Okay. Okay. We got a lot of questions in here. Okay. So, Mary, it should have taken you. Mary says, "Sorry to be a pain. You're not a pain, Mary. That's what we're here to help you, and we want to get you properly situated." Okay. And so we took care of that. All right. So you're not a pain. But how do I get into the members area? No email tells me how. Well, when you went through the payment process, it should have automatically taken you to a registration page where you would put in your username, your password, your name, etc., and all that, and just register into the site that way. If for whatever reason, I mean, technology is not perfect, okay? But if for whatever reason you did not get that that chance, in other words, it didn't take you to the right place for whatever hiccup happened, you will be getting an email, okay, with a registration link in it, okay? Now, we're getting just inundated with orders right now, so it may take 45 minutes to an hour before you get that, before you actually get that email. You may actually check your spam filter right now, in fact. It may be there right now, but if not, it'll probably be there between 45 minutes and an hour. That's we've actually had to wait that long when we test these things out before the autoresponder actually sends it. Unfortunately, it's not quicker, but it is what it is. And if failing that, if that somehow fails, Mary, we will then take care of you through the support site, okay, at greatproductsupport.com. But do wait an hour or so before putting in a ticket because you should get it. And again, look through your look in your spam filter as well. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. Matano asks, is it possible to do enhanced books inside the Kindle Comic Creator? And will you guys be going over it? Tony?
Amazon still is dragging their feet as far as being able to do enhanced versions. They're slowly starting to roll it out for the likes of you and I, but much of that formatting is still being handled primarily just for big-time publishers. Mm-hmm. So you know me. One of the things that we have planned for the training is to dissect this program and make it do everything it's supposed to do and much, much more. So, but as far as I've discovered so far, there hasn't really been any mechanism in there that allows you to add video per se. But if there's a way to do it, you know that I'll discover it and share it. So.
No, Tony is a bit like the wizard, in Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, but Tony can figure it out. He can do it.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
He really is. It's sort of weird, folks, but in so many ways and on so many levels, Tony really is kind of my superhero, and I know he is for a bunch of you as well. I just really look up to you, Tony. Okay, let's see. Other questions. Arnold says, okay, got it figured out. Great. Going back up here through the questions. Richard says, I'm in. Great. Eileen says, was busy trying to sign up. Where's the FB page again? It's in the members area. You'll see it under actually it's one of the steps, Eileen. But if you went to if you just go to Facebook there and just type in Real Fast Kindle Comics, you would definitely find it, and then just ask to join. Okay. All right. Let's see. For me, the iKindle link in the comics members area goes to a blank page, links to a home page for a product. It should take you directly to a registration page, Kelda, and if it doesn't, we will fix that. Okay, we will send you the registration page. That's a completely different membership site. So what I've done is I've just put the registration link, and it should take you directly over there. Okay, Kelda? And if it doesn't, Kelda, you know what you might do? Do me a favor. If you are still here, right, Kelda? I believe you are. Look. When you go to that link, that iKindle link, look up at the very top in the address bar, and if you see there might be a bug in it because it's been putting in a space, which will look like when you when you actually click on it, in the address bar, it'll be a % and then 20, and then it'll start HTTP : whatever. Okay, if it's doing that to you, that's the problem. That's why it's taking you to the wonky page. Okay. All right. So folks are also asking about some ways to upgrade the order. So if you should be seeing some ways that you could do that, and if you don't have to like go through the entire process right now, but we have some excellent some ways to upgrade your order there. And one is I believe derivative products. If you haven't picked that up. Oh, Real Fast Public Domain, which is actually Tony and I's first product. Still very much relevant. Still very, very good stuff. That's one of the things that you can upgrade to, and it's in a very, very great value as well. Also, I have completely redid and updated Real Fast Book. Okay, so and I haven't actually launched that out to you all yet. But you can actually grab it here at a very, very special deal as a one-time offer, and that is the whole sort of the whole publishing process, from Kindle to print-on-demand books to platform building and all of that, at a very, very special deal there. So I just wanted to let you know that those two were available to you in your upgrades, if that interests you. All right, so. All right, we have any other questions here? All right, let's see. Mary says, I have received a confirmation email to the registration and Facebook addresses. I tried going through this link as well. What am I doing wrong? I'm not sure. Actually, Anthony just answered you there, Mary, in there for you. All right, and then Chuck says, thank you so much for saying. Chuck says, derivative products is great. It was my favorite. Thank you so much, Chuck. All right. Okay, let's see here. Okay. All right. Let's see. If I answered, let's see. And then Roz says, Daniel, I am sure I must be a member, but have no idea what my password and username is. Should I create a new ID? Well, when we come out with a new product, Roz, you have to create a brand new username and ID for that one product. Okay, so yes, if you're given the opportunity there to create a new username and password for Real Fast Kindle Comics, that'd be a good time. You need to do that. In other words, they're not all one big product, right? They're separate logins and they're separate passwords. Okay. All right. Oh, this is a great comment here from Susan. She says, that's why I'm taking classes from Tony, because I'm always pushing the tech envelope too. Yes, we could always count on Tony for that. He will take a piece of software and that's designed to do one thing, and then he'll do lots and lots and lots of things with that one thing and do it so much better than what it was initially designed to do, which is really kind of cool because the final product is just awesome. All right, let's see. All right, Matano asked a great question. He says, so do the comic life layouts work inside the Kindle Comic Creator, or is that something totally different? The answer is you output it to well, Tony, if you want to take that for Matano, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Well, the way the templates work within inside Comic Life is whatever page format you set your page up to be. So like in our case, we set it up for Kindle Fire HD. It automatically readjusts the template to fit that page size. So like for instance, if you decided to say 8 by 10 is obviously a different aspect ratio than what the Kindle Fire has, which is much more narrow, and you apply the same template to those, it will stretch or contract based on the page size automatically because the templates are all vector-based.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you have it.
Kind of a cool feature.
It is indeed a very cool feature. Okay, let's see other questions here. Okay. All right. Let's see. Make sure that we answer everyone's. Brad asked, can you change templates after you do the layout and then retweak it?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then Kel says, is Comic Life 3 only for Mac?
No, it's available for both Mac and PC. The price is the same, $29.99. And it's also available on the iPad. I think the version on iPad is 2.0, and it's $4.99 on the iPad.
Okay, cool. And Roz is saying, I recommend both RealFast stock images and RealFast derivative products. I didn't take the first one. I came on after that. Thank you so much for saying that, Roz. I really appreciate that. Okay. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm answering these questions. Let's see. Matano asks, can you actually do a regular picture books through Kindle Comic Book Creator, or to repurpose that, do you need to take it outside the creator?
No, you can do it. You can break them right in there.
Okay. Cool.
We're going to show you how.
Okay. Great question from Kenneth. He says, do I need this to publish public domain comics from your earlier course?
Not really. I mean, see, well, Comic Book Creator, you definitely want to use that to publish the panes, you know, I mean, but quite honestly, like I did the layout in Comic Life. You really don't even have to use Comic Life if you don't want to. I think it makes life a lot easier because everything is already built in, but you know, you could literally scan in public domain comics, clean them up, and just use those images as is, provided that they're the correct aspect ratio and everything. Comic Life makes it a lot easier, but for publishing those comics, you still want to use Kindle Comic Creator.
Okay, very cool. Let's see, I want to make sure. Okay, so folks, if anyone's having issues getting into the site, okay, like for example, if you went through the order process and it did not land you in the right place, then for whatever reason, then you will get a email from us. The autoresponder sends that out automatically, although I will say they are slow about doing that, and there's nothing really I can do about speeding that up, but it usually hits your inbox between 45 minutes to an hour after you order. And if it's not there, make sure you check your spam filter, right? Make sure that it didn't land in your junk mail and whatnot. But which, by the way, brings up a really good point. Make sure that you whitelist our email address, okay, which is at Daniel@greatproductsupport.com. Okay. Okay. Just going through the questions here. All right. So Tony, let me ask you: have you put together any Nook books? We're having questions about Nook, and I know I have, and it's actually puts out a Mobi file. There's a number of ways you could actually do that. But let me ask you: can you use Comic Life to create comics for Nook?
Well, I kind of hinted at something during my demo, and I don't know how many people picked up on it or not, but there actually is an option for outputting or saving files, exporting, I guess it is, from Comic Life. One of those options is EPUB.
There you go. So yes, the answer is yes.
The short answer would be yes.
Okay.
Because most of your other readers are EPUB based, not Mobi based.
Okay. And then Richard says, I already registered with a new username and password. How do I get into the site? It should let you into the site automatically. And if not, just go to realfastkindlecomics.com/login and then re-enter your name, your username and password there. Okay. And again, if there's issues, that's why we have a support site to help you. Because this is, folks, you have to understand. This is one of the things is that Tony and I are just launching this product, so you could test, and we have been exhaustively testing to make sure all the systems work. But you never know what's like going to break or what's not quite firing correctly until you send a whole lot of orders at it, which is what we've done tonight. So sometimes it'll go through, sometimes it doesn't, but that's one of the reasons why we have the support site, and we will be working very hard to take care of you. Okay, ASAP. Okay. All right. Let's see. Roz asks, can we use the comic pages we make to be standalone pages as separate images? Could we make screen captures out of them?
Why would you want to? Like, I don't understand why. I mean, you can make standalone images, yeah, but I don't quite understand what the purpose would be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like, I mean, you could do it for posters or things like that, or, for social media sharing kinds of things. I mean, I've done that before, single images, single image pages, but maybe that's what you're talking about.
Cool. Susan saying, I was thinking about making standalone images to use on PowerPoint slides. That's kind of a cool idea.
Sure. Yeah, you definitely could.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Comic Life, like I mentioned earlier, isn't, you're not locked into just vertical formats. The PowerPoint slide background that you see on the page or on the screen was created in Comic Life. So, it will do horizontal, it'll do high def formats and aspect ratios, all of that.
Okay. All right. And okay, yeah, that answers Roz's question. She says, yes, that's what I meant. Single image pages for posters or single images. Yep, cool. Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right, let's see. And then Susan says, I will probably be using them for e-learning courses. Excellent. Nice to hear. And let's see. Richard, we will put that link into the answer area here in just a second. I'll have Anthony do that. And then you can go there directly. Just /login, Real Fast Kindle Comics /login, LOGIN. Okay. All right, and let's go back to the Facebook page real quick, Tony, and see if anyone's given us some more good reasons why they've decided to grab this. All right, cool. Let's see. We've got Maritza says, I already do cartoons and love you all's creativity with this course. Looking forward to it. I'm adopting 2 kids and want to make a book about my journey to find them. Ooh, very good, Maritza. Excellent. Let's see. And then going down. Really excited about the webinar. Can't wait to get started. Here we go. Okay. Let's see. All right. And then Brad says, I'm looking forward to this because I can see how I could use this in several ways in my business. I can see a bunch of things that I could do with this information. Excellent. Thank you for saying, Brad. I don't think I caught that. I don't think I actually read Cindy's earlier, but it looks like she posted it a long time ago for whatever reason. She says, I got this course because it ties in with other training I have taken from Tony and Daniel over the past couple of years. Their courses have made a real difference in my life. Oh, thank you so much for saying that, Cindy. I'm now able to make money following my passions. Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you, Tony and Daniel. Besides, it's my birthday this Sunday, January 26th. This is my present to myself. Wow. Well, thank you so much for saying that, Cindy. Awesome. Thank you so much. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Okay. Let's see. And then Roz says here, hi, everyone. Let's see, go back up. I missed it here. Hi, everyone. I could not join in after Tony Leidig and Daniel Hall changed my life with real fast stock images 2 summers ago. Thank you so much for saying that, Roz. Really, really appreciate that. Excellent. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right, Tony, I'm going back over here to the questions. Let's see, make sure I've got everything. And Mary says, Dan and Tony, you give remarkable webinars and make tremendously useful offers that fit within my budget. Thank you both. Well, thank you so much. We, believe it or not, we are very cognizant of that on our pricing. We of course, we like to make money. I have absolutely no compunctions about making money and all that. But we, Tony and I we both realize, and we both get pounded by lots of people to charge more for what we do. And maybe there's an argument to be had for that, that maybe we should do that. But the fact of the matter is that when it comes down to it, Tony and I do very, very well financially. Okay, the thing is that we don't want the price of our trainings to be an objection. We don't want it to be an excuse for people. If you really want to change your life by putting out more very good quality materials, more assets in out and working for you, then we want to encourage that. We want to help that. We want to do what we can to make that happen. And so that's one of the reasons why we keep our prices relatively low. And by the way, it actually kind of stops us out of people actually promoting us, because there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of gurus out there that wouldn't touch promoting a product like this because it's only $147, right? And it's like, well, there's no money in it. Well, that's too bad for them and their customers. That's just not the way Tony and I roll. That's not what we believe. That's not our philosophy. So thanks so much for saying that, Mary. We really, really do appreciate that, and just wanted to kind of give you the lowdown on why we do what we do and keep the prices the way we keep them. Okay, so it looks like looks like if you have any other questions here, okay, we need to go ahead and get them in. If I've missed a question, because there are literally 602 questions here, and I'm sure I missed somebody's question. Okay, I'm positive of it. And if you've got a burning question that we need to answer before we sign off, we've been going now for 2 hours and almost 2.5 hours. That's okay. Susan asked. She says, "Any good alternatives to Comic Life 3, which doesn't run on Vista?" Have any words of wisdom for Susan?
There's other software options out there, I'm sure. You may want to consider looking at an earlier, see if you can find an earlier version of Comic Life, or upgrade Windows. I mean, I guess there's that. But off the top of my head, I don't know any other options. If you have a tablet, there's certainly some options there as well. If you have an iPad, Comic Life is on there, so you can take that approach instead.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Valerie says, how many pages per comic? I got several variations of that question, and so I'm glad, Valerie, you're asking this.
Yeah, we'll be talking about all of that in the course, in the training, because it really varies.
Okay, cool.
So there's some reasons behind, reasons why behind page counts and stuff like that.
Okay. And just this one last comment here from Lisa, who says, yes, I agree with Mary. By keeping prices affordable, you give people the opportunity to dive into new ideas like this and techniques to try them out without losing their shirts. And thank you so much for saying that. John says, I thought harnessing that is the training. Okay. And if you want, just watch the video, John. You will see that video is the training. Okay. And if you want real fast derivative products for $97, you have that opportunity. Okay. But the training is definitely there. Okay. Let's see. I made it to the welcome page after I logged in and registered for the webinar, but I don't see the training setup. Again, the place that you would go is Great Product Support, Richard. That's where you'd go, and put in a ticket there, okay? And we will do our best to help you. Yeah, I already did that. All right, let's see. All right, 2 more questions here. Would and these will be our last 2. Would the grid layouts being a color increase the cost of the comic? I don't know the answer to that, but Tony probably does.
I thought we mentioned that in the training about resolutions and cost and all of that. Oh,
I see. Yes, now I understand. Yes. So yes, you get to you can compress it to the extent you can. That's an option. So you definitely can control cost that way. And Roz finally says, by keeping prices affordable, you enable those who might not be able to join to get involved as well. Thank you both. Thanks, Roz. Appreciate you saying that. Okay, very cool. Well, let me give just one more final call to action. The place where you go to grab this very special deal is at realfastkindlecomics.com right there. You see it right there. And that's it. Have a great night. Thank you so much. We cannot wait to see you on this live training.